Welcome to the show, everyone, today. All right. On Infinite Loser, we employ a lot of theater people. I love theater people because they have a great command of working with dialogue. They're very creative. However, it's not the most lovable discipline. Specifically, what I'm getting at is some of the shows are a little out there. Everyone in the room today, I've seen you perform on stage, okay? All right, Stacy, I saw you in a play where your character was having difficulty pouring ketchup. What was that play?
Our Lady of 121st Street.
Yeah, and it was very memorable. Yeah, that was good. Emily, Emily, I saw you on stage in Romeo and Juliet where the greasers were struggling with the 80s kind of new wave kids. It was very competitive.
Oh, yes.
Competitive. Susan, I saw you in a play where you played one of 5 aspects of a rape victim's personality. Yes, a real laugher, by the way. And Gabe, you were in a play where you played all the white guy roles. There was mainly an African-American cast. You were the only white guy, so I guess you played all the white guy roles. And there was like a newspaper involved.
Yeah, it's called The Story.
The Story.
Put on by Zeitgeist Stage.
Zeitgeist, I got you. No, it was kind of interesting, I guess. But I guess what I'm getting at is I did enjoy these shows, and I would also admit that I would have been in a awkward position if I had taken someone off the street. Say, if I had taken Matt Hansen to it, I think he really would have struggled. And the question is, for the person off the street, does theater connect with them? Does theater even want to connect with them? So I want to take today's show. You guys love this art form. You very much do. Mm-hmm. I want to give you a venue to sell theater. And you're going to do so by answering my questions. And with such a narcissistic lead-in, I think we'll go ahead and start. All right. First thing, we see the same plays over and over again. I have seen The Importance of Being Earnest 3 times. I have seen Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf twice. I'm not seeing them anymore. Why must we see the same play again and again?
Well, Owen, I think that the reason some of these plays get done over and over again, and there are other traditional plays, Chekhov, Shakespeare, that I think would fall under the same category.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
The reason that they're done again and again and again is because they're brilliantly written. They're really well written. And the stories are about things we can all connect with, whether you're a man, woman, it doesn't matter what color you are, we can all connect with them. And the beauty of live theater is that each production is vastly different because it's different actors, different interpretations, different set, different lights, different circumstance.
Okay, all right. Does anyone else have anything to say on that? Why we should see the same play again and again? And by the way, Stacy, I am. You're winning me over, but I'm going to come back. No one wants to touch us.
Well, I think that each version of a play, for instance, the Romeo and Juliet I did, not the best version, but it allowed for that kind of people to connect to a story like Romeo and Juliet. It allowed for the greasers and the 80s dressing teenagers of our generation to feel connected to Romeo and Juliet. And I think that that's why people do these plays over and over.
I'm going to go in a different direction with you. Shakespeare, which we see a lot of, obviously.
Yes.
It sounds like your production that you were in made an effort to make the material accessible. And as an audience member, I actually did appreciate that because oftentimes when I go see a theater production of Shakespeare, I'll read the Cliff Notes beforehand. I did this with Love's Labour's Lost. And if I hadn't read the Cliff Notes, I would have been lost. So true to the play.
Let me just throw this out here. I know another reason people do produce shows like this, to be brutally honest, is it's a safe bet. People will come see it.
As opposed to a new play?
Exactly, which is the unknown, and you don't know how an audience is going to take to it.
I agree.
You don't have to, if it's Shakespeare, you don't have to pay royalties to it.
Okay.
You know, and a lot of the classics, they're classics for a reason, and people know them because films were produced in their names. So
Okay.
people will be like, oh, I saw, you know, Elizabeth Taylor in Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, so let me go see this production. I hope this girl's as good as, you know, Elizabeth Taylor was. People
All right.
are like that.
Well, think about novels, for instance. I mean, there's a lot of great new novels that you should
Read,
read,
but you
and you
don't.
might be interested. You can, but you
Yeah.
should also read the
classics.
classics. So
It's
they,
true.
they have a major part of the history of theater. I think new plays today, I think we have a problem in the theater, actually.
Can I agree with you
Yeah,
on that?
you can. And I hate to agree with you, Owen. But I do think that we have a problem with theater today. New works. I can't think of, and please jump in and help me on this if you know of a new play that has all the elements of a great play, of a classic play.
The classic
that's not
plays-
so narrow, you know, about
Yeah.
just this one specific topic.
The classic plays were about society and people in general, whereas new plays are oftentimes about race issues, women's issues, gay issues. Me, as a straight Caucasian male, I'm always the villain in these plays. It's not a real fun night at the theater when people talk about how much they hate you, so justified or not. New plays I'm struggling with. So for someone we're trying to get off the street into the theater, how do we sell them a new play? Is it possible?
I think that if it has some of the elements of a great play, then it should bring people in. But there's also this problem with what is a play? What is playwriting? It's using our language, our words, and I think in American society today, our language and words are hurting, are dying. I mean, texting, we short things and little quips, and everyone's sarcastic, and that's what's being written because that's contemporary, because that's how we're
Right.
speaking. But I don't think that makes good theater.
I see. All right. Well, one more thing, and I'd be remiss if we didn't bring this up. The theater crowd. The theater crowd that we all remember from high school, those drama club kids, they were not the most lovable group of people. There was certainly some freaky types that found a home there. All right.
Maybe at your school, Owen. We were those kids.
Yeah.
Well, are those people still in professional theaters? Is that element there? Is professional theater a haven for wackos?
It's not a haven for wackos. There's wackos in any profession, you know, but you do still come across people that you don't want to work with because they're unprofessional.
But
or,
but the bottom line, I think, in high school, yes, maybe people were attracted to it who have serious issues and personality disorders, and it's where they felt like they fit in and could express themselves. But if you want to make it in the professional world as an actor, you actually need to be pretty solid of a human being.
It's true.
And if you're going to have good range, I mean, you just have
Yeah.
to be more solid. You can't be so extreme.
But
I gotcha.
you will still have those people that are just attention seekers who basically have no other outlet in their lives and seek theater to, I mean, you work with them and you think they're going to be amazing, and then all of a sudden, you know, they're just pulling every trick in the book just to make their performance stand out, and they're not serving the production.
Now, Gabe, you as our theater actor,
One of them, yeah.
okay, do you have a freaky story?
Well, yeah, I've got several freaky stories. I think, I think the world of theater can allow for a lot of people who have bad ideas or bad intentions to get a lot of power. I've seen this happen with...
It sounds like the Nazi
I know.
movement.
It's true. It's because it's such an open, profession. It's not, strongly established like something like being a doctor or a lawyer, that the people who have the money for the house or who are directing can often have way too much power. And I've seen...
So it's directors that dictate the tone in theaters.
Yes, and I've seen actors throw, large, drama fits, let's say.
Okay.
And the reason it was so destructive to his show wasn't necessarily because they were doing it, because that happens, but because the director let them get away with it.
So are the directors good or bad people on average? What's been your experience?
Well, it's a toss-up. It depends on what their intention is. I've worked with some very good directors. I've worked with some very bad directors, so I felt like it's my responsibility to let them know how bad they are.
Okay. I want a story. We have to take a break. You need to give me a bad director story
Okay,
when we
got
come
it.
back. Okay?
Yep.
That's what I need. All right? We'll be right back.